America. I work in a big cloud, big data platform called Cloudera. I work in the global information security department. So my journey started from learning how to do JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and it just came along harder and harder to find where I want to be. And because I didn't like front end was not my thing. I wanted to do back end, but there is no jobs, right? It's so hard to find a job because no one cannot advise me where to go. So I started small. I started looking for any startups. And I found one that paid me $15 an hour, and I worked there for 3 months while learning more. And then I got a job as a contractor in Bank of America, and then eventually I got full-time at Bank of America. So something that I would probably like to advise you guys, never stop learning. Because if you ever stop, you're gonna go behind. There's two ways. You either catch up with the cool kids and be a cool kid, or you're trying to learn something old, and then you try to find a job in the field that supports old applications. I am a developer. I'm not like into the Q&A. However, my first job was to write unit tests, and I did it for the front-end React applications. And I know you guys are Q&A and you do automation, and then you learn in some pretty cool technologies that's some of our developers use in day-to-day. So there is opportunity for you guys as well. But you have to constantly learn. You have to always ask the questions. You have to be on top of it. You have to know and realize why you're better than the others. You have to set up a dream before you go to bed and wake up with a goal in the morning. That's the thing that will help you to become a better person. I'm not gonna talk more about myself. You guys are Q&A engineers. I would let you guys ask me questions. Ask me questions and I will give you my best response. Anyone?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, can you tell, first of all, like what area you are and how is the job market in your area in general, like for tech?
So I live in East Coast. I'm in North Carolina. So I live in Charlotte. So Charlotte got all banks right now. So everybody from Wall Street, from banking, Wells Fargo and Bank of America are here in Charlotte right now. There's the big and best banking city right now to work and live in. Actually, I live uptown. I work 5 minutes away from here and I can still afford it. It's not, if I would live in New York and work in a bank, probably could not do that. But banking industry grows in Charlotte. The pay rates are amazing. They're actually probably bigger than West Coast pay rates, but it's still cheap to live here. JP Morgan is moving in here. Some of the offices, American Express is here, Credit Karma, some of the offices, Microsoft are here, a bunch of startups. There is a passport startup that's actually in the West Coast as well. They do a lot of traveling system, buying tickets for transportation. There's many things to go at and to try out.
Do you know any like insights about the QA test engineers? Engineering team in your company, for example. Like, is there a high demand for test automation engineers?
So I would give you. So there's a bank-facing web application that do get tested. I'm not sure how, but we are trying to do two things. So first is a TDD, second one is a BDD. The first one is a test-driven development, and another one is a BDD, behavior-driven development, right? So the test-driven development, you write your test first, then you write your code. Many developers say we do that, however we don't, right? So that's hard to tell because we rather write out the code and then we write a test and then see how it works or not. So BDD is really interesting. I think you guys work with Cucumber, you did not, but it's pretty interesting to do it in Python because in Python you write a feature. So let's say I am Dmitry, I have admin role, and I can access that database and I can access these pages, but you're a regular user, you cannot. So you have to write a unit test in regular human language that actually will transpile into the code. So you write the features, and the feature is going to give you the little objects where you write your code and test it out. So that actually really helps when you deploy the application to prod or deploy it in dev environment. You kind of try to see how the application is going to be work when it's going to be deployed. So you're right. So unit tests are important, but they're important as you are actually developing as well. So that's really important. People will ask in interviews, can you write a unit test? And you should say yes.
Cool.
So
any other questions, guys? Can you tell us a little bit about your day-to-day job? What are you doing there?
So I wake up, I make coffee, then I go to work and have another coffee. I usually get to work earlier. So
They're similar to us, actually.
And we
so
just
like,
asked,
yeah, we're all the same. I usually get to work a little bit earlier than 9 a.m. I don't have to, but I do because first 2 hours I actually can look into my platform because I work with a platform with hundreds of servers, right? So I kind of have to make sure that this stuff is working, this one is working, dev, prod, DR all working. Then I sit down and then I was like, okay, now I can do something of my own. So I can code or I can go to my meetings because sometimes I can be in meetings for 5 hours a day, but I still have my commits to do, right? You know, we still use our code platform, the same ones as you use, guys, like GitHub. We just have different versions of it, right? We still use Jira, we still use OCI/CD, we use everything exactly the same, just a little bit different environment, right? It's more corporate. And then lunch as anybody else, and then sprint planning, Scrum, you know, we're in full agile. We're trying to make the points on our tickets, like, you know, I have a certain amount of points to do. I don't really have to do it all, but it's really recommended to meet your requirements. You do want to do something because my team is more platform oriented. We just want to make sure the stuff does not break. And if it's break, that's when we get into the trouble. We don't build applications, not necessarily the application that go to production. We build some tools that are helpful for us, but we don't build the actual like full stack application. We support the team. Yeah.
Yeah, can you come over here?
yeah, actually, let me leave for a second. No, it's okay. I'm not going to sit. Hi, Dmitry. I have a question for you.
Okay, I have an answer.
What do you guys use there for automations, and is there any division in specialization, like somebody does backend testing, front end, you know, or all together? Do QA people write unit tests, or only programmers write unit tests? How does it work then?
Okay, as I said before, right? So if you hire junior, so when I started at Bank of America as a contractor, they asked me to write a unit test of application that was already deployed. And I had to get in. I was doing it in React, Node.js application, and I use Jest, and I use stub, mux, and everything else as you guys use as well. And I did that using Jest and with Istanbul. So basically I had the recs for every single page, how much it was tested. When I was writing Python application, I did my own tests. And our rec was 80% of coverage, right? So basically, we also I know some teams, they have a developer and have a Q&A team assigned to them. And so basically backend writes the backend code, and then the backend Q&A tests it. But they also have a front end. I think they want to click the buttons manually. For automation, I know people using Selenium, although I used Phantom before. I used Phantom, but I did it for not exactly for testing, but more for scraping. But this is exactly the same concept. You click the button, you make sure it works, and you make sure they respond to 100, you get your stuff out. So like I was not introduced too much to Q&A, only where I was working in my field. When I started, I did Q&A for actual code base, not for application base.
Yeah, because Dmitry, he is actually from development standpoint. So whatever they do, we'll probably not know. And the same thing, whatever we do as a software test engineers, these guys, they don't really know what we are doing exactly. So we kind of separate.
You still call it Q&A because it is QA.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a joke.
anybody else? Anybody questions? Like, when Dima, when did you graduate from your boot camp? How long ago?
May 2 years ago, 2017, May 20.
Oh, wow.
May 20.
That's a huge Jump pilot.
Yeah. So I interviewed for big companies. I interviewed for Microsoft, Amazon, for Wells Fargo, and I interviewed successful. I had job offers from all of those companies. And I do not have experience. I did not have experience at all. All you have to have is this and ability and willingness to learn.
What was your background? Can you tell what was your background before the boot camp?
I was a line cook. I cooked for Michael Jordan here in Charlotte. That's why I moved here. I was a chef. I work in restaurants. I started as a dishwasher, became line cook and whatever. And I thought it was my thing. But then once I work 80 hours a week and get home and my paycheck was too small, and I was like, well, I got to do something else in my life, right? So, and my friend who at that time was working at Microsoft, he said, hey, you need to code. And I was like, why? He said, you have brain to code. And I was like, okay, I'll code. And that's how it happened. It's not about, it's actually right now on this market, it's very easy to get a job. And you're guys better than anybody else. And I'll tell you why. Because you speak foreign language. Speaking foreign language is like knowing another coding. By us knowing how to speak English, that means we can learn something else. We already did. So that means we're capable of. It says, first and foremost thing you have to put on your resume. It is on my LinkedIn profile. You can add me if you want to. It's on my resume. It's on my Bitbucket and my GitHub. It says it all. You know, guys, you already did something by coming here because we're all here immigrants, right? We just came in a little bit earlier, but we already have a skill that some people do not. When we start coding, we already know the language, even though it's not coding, but it's exactly the same thing. You have to tell people that you're dual, trilingual, quadruple, or as many languages you know. You have to tell that person that I'm not can only Google it in English, but I can also Google it in Russian. That's it. Because I can. That's it. That's the biggest paradigm. That you should not be afraid of saying, I don't know, but I can Google. And do not ever, guys, bullcrap on your interviews, please. I interview people who are trying to hide something. Don't do it. If you don't know something, you just say, okay, I can Google it, but I can try my best on guessing, but do not say something that you don't know. I would say in interview terms. And I do think as you have a best opportunity, you know how the application works by knowing how to test it. And you do it automation, you already know how to write the code. You're a little step away of knowing more than I do. You have to just know how to develop it, but you already know the steps of it. So I have no doubts of you guys that you're gonna do a great job. Just make sure you know why you're better than the others. And that's it. Because I saw the meme recently, it says, why I need to pay $100,000 to the developer for copy and paste code from Stack Overflow. And the guy wrote, $1 to copy paste any code from Stack Overflow, and $100,000 to copy and paste right code. So guys, you already know the right code. So all you have to do is just perform well in your interview. And that's not hard. You have to just try many times. I interview more than 40 times. You just go in.
All right, Dmitry, we're running out of the time. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge. I mean, your story is very inspiring, actually. You know, within 2 years, become a vice president in Bank of America, one of the...
Guys, you have to also help each other. Make sure you answer the questions of each other. Make sure you collaborate and keep the friendship after you graduate.
Can you share your LinkedIn profile in the...
Yeah.
So we can find you over there.
There you go. Yeah, my GitHub is open. I think I have a website as well. I didn't maintain it for a while, but it's deployed on.
All right.
But yeah, add me. You can read my profile. My profile is the profile that's being looked by many good employers. So I would say you might use it as the template. Don't copy paste exactly the same thing, but use it as a template. And if you will have any questions, just ask me. I will answer them while I will be working through, because I have a lot of requests. I can answer you guys' questions as long as they're formed.
All right, thanks, man.
See you later, guys.
Thank you, Dmitry.
Thank you, Dmitry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you. All right, let's get started.
Yep. Uh,
Wow, cool.
all right, can you guys still hear us and see us?
Yes.
Say something if yes.
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 Okay, thank you. All right. Did you set up the screen, Teams, or it's just
I
not
think
working?
it's your
It's
your
weird. I
thing
tested
here.
it. Okay, yeah. So offline guys, please continue to watch the same thing as online. So we don't have like cannot.
Yeah, you can just share your screen probably this time. We'll need to figure this out.
Yep. All right, guys. So let's open my presentation. Let's just go over it real quick. So today we are continuing with test automation practice. So we already covered Selenium basic commands. We also touched CSS and XPath locators. So we're pretty much ready to start to write our own tests. And that's we actually gonna do today. But before that, we will do our retro and planning as usually. Then we will go over the project overview again. Then we will do like our framework overview. And after that, we will like start to automate actually the basic test cases. So it should be pretty cool, actually. All right, so let's start with our retro. Dun, dun, dun. Actually, before retro, let's check our board first. I think last time when I checked homework, yeah, it was this morning, and I see here's like still a couple of exercises which is not complete. And yeah, so guys, for you who didn't finish it, you can also pull it over to the next following sprint. And if you finish it, you can just move it straight to the ready for the code review or ready for UAT, and I will check it. And let's check the report. So there's still a couple more tickets left, but I think we're still doing pretty good compared to the last ones. So I actually did review your solutions, and the funny thing is, like, I felt like, okay, it's a FizzBuzz exercise, right? Okay, even like if recursion is only, it should be only one way to resolve it in my mind. But I saw your different approaches, and I was like really, I even like learned something. Hey, like I didn't even realize that you can do it this way or that way. Like it was really interesting. So, all right, let's do our quick retro meeting, and we will start over.
So do you usually use recursion in test automation?
No, yeah, I don't.
You don't, right?
Yeah, I hate it, and I decline all code reviews for using it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Honestly, I tried it a few times, and every time I saw some issues with that, like debugging is complicated. Like you don't know what's the iteration, and kind of messy. I don't know. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I think we talked about it like last Saturday, that it's just good to know, but not necessary to use.
Yeah, but you guys know why we're learning it, right? Why we're practicing it?
Why?
Only because you will be asking in the interview.
Oh, right.
It's a frequently asked question, so you need to know how to do that. And I actually was asked this FizzBuzz exercise on the interview as well, so it's like a real example.
I was too.
You was too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the job. But I solved.
All right, guys, I shared the link for idea boards. Please go go there and start to write your what went well notes, what can be improved, and action items. Like you can add like if you have some, but we can add it later. Yeah, so let's try to not spend much time on it, just like a general notes. Was it like something different in this sprint for us compared to the others? Yeah, it's kind of strange to have only one screen that I need to share. Okay, can I do like other things that I want to hide from you guys? All right, so I think we can like start to go over, but feel free to add more while I'm reading it. All right, team communication, more understanding of code exercises. I mean, yeah, I would agree. Like I saw like a lot more movement for code review process and more collaboration, which is actually pretty cool. And we will use it a lot starting next week because we all have like different repositories, but like from now we all have like the same, and we will merge to the same repo all our codes. Thank you for us. Thank you. Great week. Thank you guys for you too. Yes, which is inspiring. Yeah, it's like we actually have a lot of guests for our basic course, but I feel like we will invite more people with like real experience from the bootcamp to the final goals from here too. Great exercise and explanation of material. Thank you. So LA weather. Yeah, I agree. I feel how my skills improve every week. Oh, that's amazing. I like that. All right. Team communication. Yeah, guys, keep doing that. I'm really glad to see that, actually. Because like for team communication, like it's hard to control, like hard to force like people, and I'm like, that's you guys like more collaborative and working on the same goals. Could you please provide more real, I think RE stands for real examples. Yeah, we will do that much more real examples because I feel like our next exercises will be associated with a project. And that's why you will have like a real project and real examples on that. Give more homework to practice. Okay. So I feel we have like a different complaint, right? in the beginning, it was like too much homework, but now it's kind of like you guys probably like accelerating it. Could you please provide more resources, links regarding to the topic, optionally for some who finished tickets earlier? Thank you. Yeah. So I promised you like in last session, like right in last Saturday. Yeah, I feel like I kind of included to the presentation, but I didn't like share it with you probably on the Slack. So yeah, I will try to do that. Just ping me directly, like let's say like, hey, we still kind of, let's say like CSS selector still not clear. Can you provide more information? And I will know that, and I will like post like videos or material. This will be helpful. All right, so probably nothing much on that. So we can start probably our planning session.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
So in the previous lesson, you provide some links for HTML and CSS,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a lot of information on those websites.
Mm-hmm.
And should we know just the commands, or we should go through all those codes?
So for CSS and XPath, you basically just need to know this one first screen, where it's describing like all the like how to define an element, right? How to define like parent element, how to define child element that comes after this parent element, or maybe how to implement some functions, like let's say contains on XPath or like something, but use it as a mostly use it as a reference. Like let's say once you will start to work with automation, let's say you will see, hey, like I need to find like child that comes after this parent, right? And you can use this link to go there and to see how you can do that.
Okay, so you're not like.
No, you don't need to learn. No,
Everything,
you don't need to
just
learn.
as a
Yeah, use it as a reference. All right. Any more questions, guys? All right, I'll take it as a no. Probably. So let's do quick planning for our next week's tickets. So first of all, we are starting to work with a project, right? So now, like finally, and how do we how QA automation people want to automate, right? We're not like creating scenarios from the air, right? Usually, when you have to automate, you already have existing test cases for manual people, right? And we need to automate those. And for our project, for please.com, we kind of like started to write test cases from the previous group, but it wasn't like, I think there's only like few of them. So what you will need to do, you will need to create unique 5 test cases in a test link. Have you guys worked in a test link or like any other test management tools?
No.
No?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay.
Test rail testing.
All right, guys. So here is the link. I think I provided in the ticket, right? Yes. So here is the link for testing. Just go there, register yourself using your email, and after that, log in to the testing. And I mean, testing kind of itself really not user-friendly written. I mean, the UI UX experience, but I can like show you how you can like access test cases. After you open this dashboard, you need to go to this test specification here, right? And here, our project like originally was called please.com, but now they did rebranding and now they call like deans.com. So it's basically treated as the same thing. And here we have several components and sections: a create account, homepage, login, logout, profile. So I separated components by the teams. So the first team will take the my profile component. The second one will be PLP. PLP stands for product listing a page. I'm gonna show you like what's the page on the website I'm referring to. And PDP, it's a product detailed page, basically. So let me, and yeah, this is a URL for a staging. So this is our project. Yeah, so basically it's a web application which allows customers to book their trips in different cities. Like, do you guys know? Did you guys use Airbnb?
Yes.
Like, you know that you don't like. It's not only allows to rent apartments. It also allows you rent some kind of like tours, or like restaurants, or like kind of like experience. But like it's actually selling the single experience. What the Please.com or Deans is doing, it's like, let's say if you're planning your vacation, right? Like, let's say I'm gonna go to SF for a weekend, and you kind of like don't know what to do there. So you go into the TripAdvisor, you're trying to find all these like good places you wanna go, but you have to like schedule it by your own, and you have to choose a restaurant, choose, I don't know, like boat tours, choose Alcatraz tour, or all of that. So you kind of have to plan. So Please.com providing you the bundles, like let's say 2 days for a San Francisco tour. And in this bundle, you are buying, let's say, like 6 kind of activities in 2 days. And because you're buying it as a bundle, it's cheaper. And it's also like planned according to schedule. And you don't like really have to do anything. You will just go, you're just going there, buying, and, you know, following this experience.
Yeah, and you know this, mama knows the best, so locals know the best, right? So that's why they're offering these tours based on like their knowledge. Otherwise, you will have to like Google for all those entertainments in the area and figure this out. Here, they kind of say, okay, in this area, this is, and that is the best.
Is Expedia had a similar
Maybe. I haven't used Expedia much, but
many users?
no, I think Expedia provide mostly tickets, hotels, renting cars, kind of bundles, right? Here it's providing the more like real experience.
Yeah, I don't think they actually sell any tickets here. I think it's mostly like the hosting and like yeah, restaurants, tours, stuff like that.
Do they still have those cryptocurrency?
I think so. Yeah. So and then because it's like local, so it's basically it has 2 modes. Right now, it's working in a centralized mode, which is including all the payment systems and all that stuff. But they actually have another mode which is decentralized, which is based on blockchain technology. So basically, in this case, you pay to the local, to the provider directly, without paying for all of those intermediate like taxes, taxes and banking fees and all that stuff. And if you don't get the money out of the system, you basically can spend. So let's say if you work as a host and provide some trips to the public, that money that you make, you can spend on some other trips. And in that case, it really kind of, you don't pay any taxes and anything. It's just like a credits, right? So there is a lot of documents that we can give you to read to get an idea. It's pretty well designed, but not today, probably.
Yeah, not today, but this will be on Confluence. All right, so again, you guys will need to create 5 test cases for different scenarios. So I separate by the teams, as I said. So the first one is a My Profile. So My Profile is basically after you go to the URL, right? You will need to log in, and after you log in, you can like click to this My Trips or like My Profile. This is a My Profile component. Basically, it has a My Trips profile where you can like add a bio, add username, add an email, and basically you just like kind of customizing. I mean, not customizing, filling all of your information. Even like upload an avatar, and basically that's all you can do here. So this is the first component. The second one is PLP. Do you guys know what the PLP stands for?
Product listing page.
Yes.
You just said it.
Yeah.
One visit development.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so it's actually, it is what it is. It's a page with all the listed trips, experiences, like basically all listed products that Please.com provided. And here, what you can do, you can just see all these layouts, see that trips are present, see these buttons. I think it's used for filtering, and see the rating, and yeah, basically that's it. Even if you use like to get to PLP, you can click to the button to the, what's it called, like a banners, small banners.
Pale.
Yeah, payload, or even like here, or even if you use a search, let's say Los Angeles. Like this one is still kind of PLP. So this one is a little bit different though. I feel like they already redesigned the PLP for a search. This is interesting. Yeah, and this one has even like pagination. Yeah, it looks like it's not even.
Same definitions in our company, PLP, PDP.
Because you work in e-commerce, right? Probably. Yeah. I mean, it's the same for all e-commerce companies. All right, so guys, remember that this is kind of project, not live. It's ongoing, and sometimes you may have kind of issues with that. So yeah, I think because the search and the regular PLP have a different functionality, let's maybe stick to not the search one for the regular PLP for now, because we may get like confusing if you will combine them. Let's leave search PLP as a different for now.
I'm sorry, so what's gonna be PLP?
PLP is gonna be like all the PLPs that you can open from the homepage, not from the search.
Okay,
yeah, because from the search. Yeah. All right, guys, I hope it's clear.
Yeah, but so
You guys
it's
actually
one.
Yeah. And team number 3, you will take the product detail page. So to get to the product detail page, you will need to open any PLP first. Nice. Oh, nice.
Oh.
Yep. So again, you will get a lot of 404s because, I mean, this project still not live, so it has a lot of issues.
It's alive, but they just gonna start first marketing campaign this week. Well, we're testing it in stage, so please test it in stage. Don't go to production. It's very important for them to capture the right analytics and not capture us.
Yeah.
And they it's kind of big of a deal for them. So please just stick to the stage.
Hi, small interruption. Hi everyone. I actually been in the hotel on Rivington, which is you can see on the day first. Accommodation, hotel on Rivington. It's really cool. Highly recommend you.
Well, this is stage, so I'm not sure if like all of those things like real or not. It can be some just like test. I mean, it's just testing environment. So, but I mean, this one seems to be real, huh? Never heard about that.
How do we determine that it is staging environment? SH?
It's a different URL.
It's a Dean's Master now SH, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. And after you go to PLP, after you click to the banner or to the title, PDP page will be opened. And what PDP is, it's product detailed page. It basically describing more in detail what this trip is about, like what this hotel is about, and you can actually book it from here, add to your trip, to do like some kind of interactions, probably to leave a reviews in some point, and to see some recommendations. So this is a basic functionality for PDP. All right, so again, let's get back to the test link. So again, let's quick reminder, to get to the test cases, you will need to click to the test specifications. And here in the left side, you will see all these components. If it's not listed here, like please create it. And after you click your component, let's say homepage, you will need to click to this actions button. And here you will need to click to the plus button next to the test case operation. And here you can finally start to write test cases. Yeah. Does it make sense, guys?
Yes.
All right. That's cool. And
you all know how to work with like test link or any other test case management system, right? Well,
I already checked it like when you left.
I think like most of you, but I believe we have a couple of people who actually doesn't have much of experience.
Yeah, if you don't, guys, please feel free to Slack me, and I mean maybe not me or in a general channel, so we'll like go over again and explain you. All right, so how many points, guys, for 5 test cases? 1?
5 points.
I have a question. There were already written some test cases in this game. Those, is there got those, or this is new? Then
so it will be like 5 for each person. Yeah.
So when you log in, it will be empty, right? Or we will see those test cases?
No, you will see the existing ones. It's one repository for each of you. Yeah. So like if it's 6 people in a team, it will be 30 test cases. Ideally, like if.
Oh, so it's 5 test cases for each
person. Yes.
For individual.
Yes.
Well, for me it's 1. Write it for 1.
What did you say, 5?
Oh,
All right, guys, how much points? Online, guys, what do you think?
2.
2? All right, 1 or 2, guys? We kind of like split.
I'm about the 1.
No duplicates, yes?
Yeah, no duplicates.
So it's going to be hard to find out the links.
Actually, there's a lot. I don't know. I mean, the login page and the profile page, it's a lot of test cases. I don't know how detailed we should be, but we can like even button. Like,
well, first of all, yeah, let's try to focus on the most important ones, right? And then we're gonna automate them actually. So the whole point, not just to practice in writing test cases, but the point here is to practice in translation of like manual test cases to automation language, right?
Yeah.
So that's the exercise.
Yeah.
So is it gonna be should be long test cases, like check the all onboarding flow or sign-in flow, or just short test cases? Is the button presented? Is it that color?
I would say maybe more focus on functional stuff, not like UI, but more functional, like clicking, like some model should display, something should happen on the screen, so it's functional.
Yeah, consider you will need to automate it.
Guys, I have a question. Is it correct we should work independently? So each of us should have like 5 test cases, with maybe 5 the same test cases for everybody, but write in a different way, and then we can automate them by our own. But we can
say that the most interesting thing here will be dealing with merge conflicts, distributing the workload, and working as a team. So this is like why do we need this whole Git? That's why we need it. And that's what you will face hopefully if you're not alone automating the stuff, but if it's more than just you, then you will be dealing with that thing. And on top of that, especially when it's usually there is not enough time for testing and for automation as well. So you have to do it quickly. And how would you do that? You have to distribute the workload between the team members. So if you can manage the process itself, then you can be really fast and efficient and deliver on time, rather than like automating for weeks a couple of features, right? So I think that's the most complicated part, really. But at the same time, developers do the same, and the whole Git was built to solve this problem.
Yeah, I would say, like, consider, guys, this is as your project. Like we all whole team, right? We have a project, we need to automate it. So we need to create 5 test cases. It should be different. It should be like no duplicates, and we're gonna automate it. So like in the final level, we'll have a full project which will be automated.
So as a bottom line, like in the end of this week, we as a team should have 5 test cases written and 5 test cases automated for entire team.
No, for each person.
For each person. Well, that was my question. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yes,
okay.
For each person. So we will have like, if like 6 people on the team, we ideally should have 30 test cases for this component.
Okay. So thank you.
So yeah, you can communicate with your team. Let's say like, hey, I'm gonna write 5 test cases for this feature, for this one, and for this one. Just give you a heads up, so nobody will touch your part.
That's interesting because it's like it's like 100 test cases per week. That's a crazy throughput, really, for the automation team. I've never seen that many test cases being automated. Like, no, 20 develop 20
the main idea do not overlap each other.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's why we're going to do
30 unique test cases.
However, it's not possible.
Yeah, I understand, but in ideal situation. Okay.
We want to avoid that, but it's not avoidable.
Oh yeah.
And that's fun.
So,
in my company, for example, a lot of people complaining like, oh, I'm going to get merge conflict. I'm like, come on, merge conflict is fine. There is nothing wrong about it. What's wrong is you, that you don't know how to handle it. So what you're going to do, I'm going to merge this so you get a merge conflict, so you will have to handle it. Once you handle it like a few times, you're good to go. It won't be a problem for you anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not that big of a deal, really. It's just your fear that you need to overcome.
Yeah. Just merge it first, and you won't have.
Right? That's what I'm hearing. Like, merge mine first. Merge mine first. I'm like, no. I'm seeing your point. No, I'm gonna merge the last.
So we first have to reverse engineer the features on the part that the team is given to cover with tests, and then ideally to split their features among the team members to achieve the desired ideal no overlapping.
Yeah, ideally no overlapping, but we live in not ideal world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's like we're not very efficient, but again, we are practicing, we are learning, so we want to learn how to deal with that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's the situation is that okay to have overlaps, but make sure that they are not the major thing of the work done. So to the main goal that we are going to achieve is to be able to split the workload among everybody, and then to resolve merge conflicts if any occurs.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 4 points.
4
Hold on,
points.
for creating test cases and testing?
It's just a manual creation.
Oh, you mean it's just for manual creation?
Yeah.
Okay, then 2.
All right, guys.
It should take you like really, I don't know, like 30 minutes, hour maybe.
Maybe to get to know the application.
I mean, you're on PDP, like so easy to do.
I mean, I would go with it too.
But you need to go through all the existing test cases, right? And figure out
Not
There's not
many.
much. There's not much.
I think it's
Yeah.
like for PGP. Can you go open that?
Yeah.
I have a feeling there's really nothing.
So it's only 28 test cases.
Well, for PGP there is 0.
Yeah. Just 8 for login forgot page. There's like literally no PDP, PLP, or my profile. So yeah. Oh no, we actually have 4 per profile. Yeah.
Can you please open one of them just to see how it looks like, please?
Yes. This is, so my service list is displayed. Yes, this is the title. I mean, guys, consider like people who wrote these test cases, they kind of learn how to do that. So it may not be perfect. You know, but like in this case, I feel like this test case checking the trips, like services that the users own. And yeah, so basically in this case, it's just redirecting to my service page and verifying service list is displayed. And that's it.
Oh, then, sorry, I'm kind of confused. So now this is kind of like a manual thing, right? Because I thought like you have to write the code in the IntelliJ IDE like and make a test case.
No. Only manual. We're not touching code yet. In this top of this ticket, just a manual creation, and that's it.
Oh, cool.
You manually wrote it, and that's it. Your work is done. You can push it to the review.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, let's make it true. All right, second one, guys, and also I put the numbers for each ticket, and this is a priority. So, like, first of all, start with manual creation 5 test cases and only after that, go to the second ticket, which is the install. Actually, that's I'm going to talk right now. All right, this ticket. So we have some updates for our automation setup. So if you go here. Basically, if you already finish it, the only thing that you will need to do, you will need to install Gradle. Here's the instruction, and here's actually instruction how to import this project. This actually repository in a IntelliJ IDE. And I believe, yeah, this is in a point number 2. This is a link to our main repository. Yeah, just clone it from here, and this will be our main repository where we all gonna work on and push our code here. So, and yeah, so also Dennis recorded a video how to do that. So it's like attached here, and you can like go over it.
Yes.
I mean, it's made for Windows users, but for a Mac it's the same thing. You shouldn't have any problems, probably. The only thing is make sure you installed Gradle and it's working. And the path to the Gradle in a Mac is a little bit different than in Windows. Just keep it in mind. It's actually included in this setup instruction. If you like open it, it's pretty well documented.
So are we using Maven or Gradle?
For now, Gradle. For now, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was your question last time, and you got me curious on that. Like, yeah, because we kind of promised Gradle, right?
But what's the point? What's the difference between that? How do you guys decide what to use?
It really.
You can use either of them. Like,
they pretty much do the same thing. Gradle is newer, a little fancier. Kind of cutting edge if you want to, but I mean, they do the same. So it's really from like automation standpoint, pretty much no difference. Right, Nadia?
Mm-hmm. Which Nadia? I thought there were 2 of us.
What?
There are 2 Nadias.
Yeah, Maslova.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, so Maven is older and it uses XML as a POM XML, which is the configuration file. Gradle uses JSON, which is, I believe, is actually a Groovy, so you can actually write some code within the config file, which is kind of crazy, but that's what it makes it kind of powerful. If you want more details, but but they pretty much similar.
How many points, guys? So you've done most of it. Like you just have this to set up.
One.
Right.
We'll consider it 1 point is 1 day, right? Around.
One evening. Right.
So we already spent 3 evenings, right?
Yeah. Okay. No.
Well, Saturday is 1 evening, but Sunday is 3 evenings. So. Right. So we have what, 9 points per week total. So sorry for my math. It's boot camp.
It's not considering all the sick days that you're gonna take.
I don't know about sick days.
All right, guys. So this is a second part of our test automation creation. After you finish that and pass UAT, you will need to automate them.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. So your code will be kind of messy. Like I'm gonna show you today. We're gonna do like some test case automation today, and just using the today's kind of knowledge and all the resources that I give you, you will need to do that. We're gonna clean it up later on, but like us, just to get started, just to get practice, just you will need to write 5 automation test scripts to do that.
Oh, there's something.
These steps.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was complaint like not enough homework. Remember, guys?
Yeah, I do remember that. Here we go. So 1 point.
Yeah, guys, you're gonna automate your own test cases. So writing it manually, like keep in mind you're gonna automate it, and try to make your life easier in terms of expected results, steps. Yeah, so it's a completely different approach, probably.
And we also need like pushing it to the repo and deal with some merging issues.
Yes.
So we have to keep it.
I mean, technically yes, but in reality, I think it shouldn't be any lot of. Well.
I guess you will show us today how to.
Yeah, exactly. I will.
Yeah, maybe we should start with really like just how to write them, right? So we can write some boilerplate probably code, right? Very dirty and ugly, and nobody does it this way in companies. But it's just the first baby step, really, on the way. Because I remember myself when I was learning that, I'm like, that's easy. But then when I saw the actual framework, which is supposed to be exactly the same, it wasn't. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, where should, like, how does it work really? Like, what is that?
I would say it's 3.
3 points?
Yeah.
3 days.
I mean,
guys, I have a question. Should we use some kind of page object model?
No, we're not. No, we're not using anything extra. Just pure, simple code, step by step.
That means in each of those 5 test cases, we should include for each test case, like let's say navigation. Open the web page, navigate.
Yes.
Here for each class. Like
just do it the dirtiest way possible.
Okay.
And then we will get together and we will see like, okay, what's wrong with this? Like, what's repetitive? What can be improved? How we can really make it Nice.
Okay, gotcha.
The only acceptance criteria is your test should work and it should verify something. We're not looking for clean code at this point. Make sense?
Yep, thank you.
It should be easier after you finish one. The second one probably will be mostly copy-paste. And you will get an idea and it should be easier and easier. So how many points, guys?
I still think that it's 3, especially if you put 2 points for manual test cases, which is so much easier. So this should be a little bit harder than manual test cases.
Yeah.
Okay.
For manual, I think one should be enough, really, nothing to do.
Yeah, I think one
should take you, I mean, I don't write many test cases, really. My position doesn't kind of, not for that, but if you ask me to write, it should take me like an hour or so to write 5 of them. It's not a big of a deal, even though I'm not familiar with that page.
You can keep it like that. I mean, for automation, I would put 3. I don't know.
Yeah, in automation, you will get the whole beauty of it. Once it sometimes it looks like super easy to do, but no, you're dealing with like unknown issues and like some sync issues and like.
How I handle all of those unknown issues.
Yeah. All right, 3. Probably your stand-up meetings will be more productive.
Yeah, that's when.
Interview bullets. 1. So you got the point, right?
Yeah.
All right. And you remember.
It's actually now harder to write something because it's basically almost the same, I believe.
Yeah, but you should not write the same thing. Like you kind of like need to at least put different words.
For each week, it's more difficult.
Yeah. All right, 1 point. So number 5. So kind of in this ticket, just to do like some practice in CSS and XPath, you can do it using W3 School as a reference. And I mean, you will use these locators while you will write your test, right? Just, I mean, in this ticket, just to go over to W3 School links and just to read like how you can like implement different things. And that's basically it. It's not like real exercise, it's just for your information.
Mm-hmm.
How much?
1.
All right. So page object model intro, coming back to your question. So in this point, it's the last ticket that you're gonna finish. So it's just a Medium article explaining what the page object model is. Just to go over, read it. I mean, if you understand it, it's fine. If you don't, it's kind of also fine because we're gonna cover it later. But if you'll get an idea, this will be like purpose of this ticket.
Is it something what we will cover during the week's lessons?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we will. I mean, we will refactor our code after we finish. We'll refactor it and use like our page object model. Yeah, so it's 4 minutes to read during the Medium estimate. So probably 1. No concerns? Okay, perfect. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 6, 9 points.
Oh,
yeah, here we go. 100% capacity, we're all good. I'm happy.
Yeah.
and even half of the evening free.
Oh, really? let's sneak in one more then.
Yep. All right, so let's go back to our presentation. So here is our project. I already did overview. Basically, like deans.com is production URL. So again, please guys, don't touch it.
Oh, by the way, could you please, do you remember I sent you that cookies that they asked me to use?
Yeah, I forgot.
Maybe, could you please add that to a production link? So
Yeah, they're like pretty strict about the traffic because they do like analyzing it, and they have special parameter to disable. So if you all need to go to production, you probably will need to use it. Yeah, we're gonna post later in Slack. Or could you please, Dennis, find it?
Yeah, I'm looking.
All right. But for now, for test automation, for manual test creation, please use this deans -master.now.sh. Yeah, it used to be please, but now after rebranding, it's a deans now. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. So basically, functionality it's kind of simple. I mean, we still have a checkout flow. You guys like in a staging environment, you can use
I just send that in a chat. Can you please add that? Yeah, and if you clear your cookies, then so this cookie will it has 20 years expiration date, so should be good. But if you clear the cookies, then of course, please use it again.
Yeah, but I don't think you will really need to use production because
and yeah, better practice, just don't use production at all.
Yeah.
What does this cookie do?
I just that's
saying your
flag that you're internal, so you don't show up in analytics reports.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem, they don't have that many customers, probably, maybe, well, not sure about the numbers, but maybe 0 customers. And then if they see like 20 of us sneaking around doing something, they can get too excited about it.
Yeah. Well, we have so many people on my profile page, what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, they are on a
shocking.
PDP, yeah, they're booking. Look, they clicking.
So yeah, like basic functionality, checkout flow. So it's okay, it's not working.
Okay, nice. If it's not working, then since it could be blocking us, then we may want to submit a ticket. Actually, we have access to their tracking system. We can submit, and they will address it because they don't have QAs at the moment. I believe they used to have a position open.
Really?
Yeah, I believe I saw it. 60K a year, remote position. I'm not sure.
For automation? Or maybe?
I'm not sure about the details. But I know they had some problems with the financial kind of related. But again, I'm not affiliated with the company, so really hard for me to say. But sometimes they cannot know about some defects really, just because they don't have QAs.
Yeah.
And it happened with the previous class. We submitted quite a few, even like very critical ones to them, like some page was 404 or some crazy stuff.
So yeah, they did like
and they can actually appreciate if we log something, they would appreciate it.
Yeah. So yeah, in the checkout flow, just like adding your information. And in a payment, you can use testing credit cards like 4242.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work?
Sorry.
Let's find out. All right.
It's called scarcity effect.
So yeah, it doesn't allow me to book. It says no such token, so probably internal issue or some kind of keys issue.
Yeah, we can actually pay with cryptocurrencies, and I'm a billionaire actually. Bazillionaire. But I believe we actually have, we should have those testing credit cards information somewhere. We just need to look up, or we can ask them, they will add that.
Yeah. I think this application is perfect for manual testers.
All the applications that we have perfect.
Yeah.
Testing. In the previous application, we logged over 70 defects within a week.
Yeah. If you guys like having an issues as blocks you, try to kind of, like play around, maybe use different approaches. But if you blocked, kind of let us know, and we'll like file a defect or just to switch to another part application. All right, do you guys have any questions about the project? You'll probably will need to go over by yourself, a little bit familiarize, because this will be like our main project, and that's we're gonna use for our most of the course for all the topics. And yeah, I will add information about it in Confluence because we already have it. I think you just don't have an access to it. So I will open it for you, and yeah, and I will post it later on. We also have a mind map for this project. Let me actually present it. It's kind of explaining all this. I mean, it's not completed. There's only like a few parts, but it's kind of like giving you the overview, a picture how this application is written. And here's the link for the mind map if you'll need it in the future. All right, so let's go. Let's switch to our new temple of a framework. So let me open the setup link. Oh, here. Okay, so I already have a repository. I will send in a Slack the repository. You can actually follow my steps if you want right now. So we'll be on the same page. So after going here, basically do the same thing. Click clone, click the clone, like a link, then open source tree, go to the new, clone from URL, add the URL. You can change your path if you want. If you don't, you can leave it as it is. But for me, let's move it to the repo folder, and yeah, and click clone. All right, so, and I have it here. So now what I will need to do, I will need to open the IntelliJ IDE. Yeah, if I go too fast, guys.
How did you open it from IntelliJ? Oh, you haven't?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
I just opened the IntelliJ itself. All right, here. So we all have in a Confluence all the setups, but I'm going to show you anyway. So you will need to click the import project here and find your projects that you just cloned. Like for me, it's repo Jeans Automation. Open it. And here you will need to choose Gradle for now because we. What's up? Yeah. You have to install it first. And go to the next. So here, click use auto import because it will make your life easier. And you will need to specify the Gradle homepage, actually Gradle home URL. In some cases, it may not pre-populate it, but if you will use a setup instruction from our setup page, like it will show you how you can find it. And also you can use any different JVM machines installed in your local. Let's use 1.8. I mean, it should also work with 11 too. And then click to finish. So what will happen next? It will load it, and so here is a Gradle build file. Let me actually open it. And here it's defining all the dependencies that we need to install for our project. So it's Cucumber that we're going to use later on. It's TestNG, our main testing framework, some kind of logging libraries, and there's nothing much in this point. So it also installs Selenium itself and Selenium server. And yeah, So after you will open it, because we configured after import, it will like load all these configurations, and all the checks here should be green.
Nice question.
Mm-hmm.
Should we know how to build a framework, or not really? Usually in the companies they already have it.
We kind of gonna build it right now, from this from starting point to the end point. This is just a template.
Oh, so it's not.
You know, it's not real framework. It's just a repository with like one test, one Cucumber definition, and Gradle file, which has all the dependencies, and that's it. You can actually, like, if you find a job where you will need to use create framework from scratch, right? You can use the same template, and you can like build everything on it. Yeah. I mean, all the page object models, like we're gonna create it, so don't worry about it. Yep. All right. So the only thing is missed here, I think it's yeah. So we have our test file. It's under src file, and under the Java test for genes, we have a. So you can like ignore the Cucumber runner for now, and step definition we're gonna touch later. So all we care about for now is just the login class. And here, as you guys remember, our Tuesdays class, it has like some simple commands. It's just initiating the browser, going to this page, trying to find the element. I mean, just like a step for now for our test. So let me actually install the Chrome driver to make it work. So to install the Chrome driver, if you guys remember, you need to go to seleniumhq.org, go to the download, scroll down, find it here, use the latest one. I use Chrome 73, so I'm going to use this one. And because I'm using a Mac, I'm going to use a Chrome driver Mac 64. So open it, copy. I actually already have it here from the previous demo session. Copy it and post to the main directory. All right, so I believe now we can try to run this login test. I think it's intentionally was built to fail because expected result is the wrong value and this is a message. I feel like, yeah, then it's intentionally put it to fail, but let's find out. So to run this single test, you will need to right click on it and click to the run login test. And what's gonna happen next? It's gonna pre-build some of the files, and yeah, it starts running. It should open the browser, which it's actually doing. It's going to this page that we specified, and it's failing. Yeah, as I said, because yeah, you see, it has an assertion error here because we're using the assert method. Assert method, it's widely used in test automation, like best practice considered if after each test, you're putting assert and kind of like declaring what exactly you're verifying and asserting. And here is a message. It says the homepage tag line doesn't match, which is reflected here. So it means it's mainly used for like make it easier to read the errors, because otherwise without this message, it may be like harder to understand what went wrong in this case. All right.
In that case, should we print the expected and actual values, or just this error line enough?
I mean, yeah, you probably can. It will be a better approach. Do you remember how to do that in Java?
Sure.
Like if you want to print the actual tag and expected tag.
Not right now.
Not right now. No, I can show it to you. Like, let's say if we want to make this message dynamic, right? Homepage doesn't match. We can say expected is space class. Let's right now let's define the expected tag, right?
Oh, yeah.
Specify string expected tag equal to I don't know, is my laptop is slow. Okay. And comma, not comma, plus, and actual tag is an actual tag is our home tagline, because this is like what we're getting in initiating. And let me try to run it. Oh yeah, I forgot to add space here. That's why it didn't add. So as you can see here, like the log message is more dynamic here, and it's actually adding the expected tag. I mean, it wasn't the best choice for declaring it, but you're kind of having an idea, right? And this is a actual tag, customizable trips and whatever. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
The last line is so long. Is it okay if the code has?
No, you can just yeah.
So we can do that.
Yeah, you can do that. You need to do that. It's kind of like best practice. Yeah, but good point. All right.
What did you do? Just click enter?
Yeah. I mean, it's a Java. I think it allows to do that. In some other languages, you will need to put slash kind of stuff for do that. But I think here is okay. All right, guys. So let me go to my presentation plan. So do you have any questions in this simple script so far? Does it all make sense for now?
I didn't get it. It assert if home tagline equals to what?
The wrong value. You see the expected?
Yes.
So this is the expected title that it's asserting,
Okay.
but it's intentionally fail. It's designed to fail. That's why it's failing.
Okay. So first we put actual result and expected, then message. Right?
Yeah, you kind of like comparing the actual with expected, and the message is kind of optional. But if you want to make your code more clean, you will just adding it. You can skip it. Yeah.
Actually, I don't understand the logic. So we open the browser, go to this link, then we find the element, and then we we look at the tag, and if it's
All right, let's go line by line. First line, initiating the browsers, basically opening the Chrome, right? Second line, we're going to this URL. So third line, we are getting the text. This is get text. I mean, like first step, we are finding this element. And after we're finding this element, we are returning the text of this element. After that, we're putting some expected tag as a string, what we're expecting to get. Yeah, so we're quitting, but you can quit it after assertion or like before. It doesn't really matter because our tag is already saved here as a variable. Even if you click it, you can still interact with that here in assertion.
I think this was a little confused because we quit before write some error.
Yeah, but you see, we are saved this text already here. So this text is like saved. Yeah, I can like put it in the end, like it doesn't really matter. I can like even like put it like before expecting tag, right? Because for expecting tag, we don't really need to use browser, right? So that's why it doesn't really matter.
Can it do not close browser?
It will remain open, and if you run the again, it will open the second one, and you will have a queue of open browsers.
Can we have different test cases in one class or method and keep open the browser?
Yeah, we can. You just better. I mean, if you will leave it open, I would suggest to do like some kind of cleanup, maybe like clear the cookie, because your sessions, they won't like overlap to each other, and you won't have like a session mess.
Yeah. I mean, for example, we need to check few like button text, login button, like the title text or whatever, and we can do it in the same session. Yeah.
I mean, the idea is to make sessions independent from each other. Let's say like if I want to, like if I have two test cases, in the first one, I'm checking this button for logged in users, right? And my second test case is check the same button for not logged in users. And in this case, you kind of need to do like cleanup, or you need to kind of like count, okay, this test going like before that. So like I cannot really, but my point is don't do like all the setups in the first test, try to make it independently, because ideally you should be able to run each test independently, and it still should work. There's like different approaches. There's like different setup methods that we're gonna use later on, where you're declaring, okay, like before running this test, do this, and after test is finished, like do this. You don't like specifying in test itself. You will specify it in the different methods. Ideal, like in a test, like all you will need to do, like you will need to skip browser initiation, and in the test, you will skip the driver quit. It will be like somewhere else before tests, right? Like in different methods.
So in general, we have to create, so the test case, it's a method. So per each test case, we should create different methods.
Yes. And we will also need to add this annotation, is a add test. So by adding that, we kind of specifying to our testing framework, which is testng, saying, hey, this method is a test. Because we may have different methods, which is not test, but which we can use within the same class. And we don't like, I mean, let's say like email generator, right? To generate like unique email. So it's not a test, it just helps us to like generate email and to give it to us. So like in this case, we won't add this annotation.
And for structure, we have class login, and all test cases what's related to login, we put here.
Yes, that's an idea. So for PDP, you will need to create separate class, test class, call it like PDP. And the same for others, my profile or PLP.
What if there's hundreds of test cases? Find it.
That's me like, I mean, you see, you kind of like separating your application by the components, right? I mean, if your application has like 100 components, it's kind of like heavy application. I mean, in usual applications, it's usually like not so much of the pieces. Yeah. So ideally, this class should be renamed as a login tests, not like just login, because it will make more clear understanding.
Can we rename the class after?
Rename? Yeah, you can. Just be sure rename the file itself and the class, because they should match. All right, guys. So we will get back to that later today. So what we're gonna do now? So Selenium itself has a lot of built-in methods, right? We kind of covered some of them on Tuesday, how you can like navigate in the pages, how you can find an elements, how you can, interact with them, like clicking to them, sending the keys, clearing, scrolling, or like anything. But here is the links for all the API documentations. You can actually open them, and if you'll scroll down, it's describing like each. Let me scroll down. Yeah, it's describing each methods that Selenium supports. And as you can see, you can just compare the different implementations. Let's say this is a way how you're finding elements using CSS selector, but you can also see how to do it in Python if you will need it, or I don't know, Ruby, C#. But default language is a Java because Selenium was written in Java. That's why, I mean, there's a lot of stuff you probably won't need most of them, but just for your information. And I have one more link for Selenium API. And here's kind of like more clean explanation of the same thing. You like get current URL, going to the page, get page source, get title, window size, and so on. All right, so let me actually, all right, so let's go to this practice one. So let's try to automate login process flow, right? Let me actually log out. So if I need to log in, I need to go to this URL, right? So what else I will need to do? I will need to go to the login, click to the login button. Here I will need to put my email, my password, and press the login button. And after I will do that, it will, I mean, let's say if I have a test case, like expected result should be like users redirected to the homepage, and it has his avatar instead of login sign up buttons, right? As a simple test case. Mm-hmm. So let's write this test case. So here, the first step would be, I mean, this is a not login test, but okay, let's keep it as it is. We're gonna remove it because it's kind of like a step. So let me copy paste and say login successful test, right? Let's delete everything here. All right, so we already have a step to open the browser and to go to this main page, right? Mm-hmm. So to click to the login page, I will need to find locator. To do that, I need to click to the inspect. And here I will need to find the best locators that I can use. And as you guys remember, it should be unique. Ideally, it should have an ID attribute that we can use. But what we see here, it's a element, which is a link, which has a href attribute, which is a login. And yeah, and also it has a few parents, like a desktop drop-down menu, button wrap, or like anything. So what would be the best locators that I can use here? I mean, yeah, we're gonna use CSS.
I guess link.
Yeah, we can use this attribute, href equal to login link. So to do that, let me find out if it's a unique element or not. Maybe we will have different login buttons, right? Let's say, let's put the square brackets, href equal double quotes and login. All right, so it's only one element present here, so I can. This means I can use it and copy that and open my IntelliJ IDE. Okay, let's save it for now. And all right, so now I need to write the method to find this element, right, by CSS selector. So it's basically will be the same as this one. So let me copy paste it. But we're not looking for by the tag name. We are looking by the CSS, and we need to change it to the CSS selector. And let me delete get text. And let's put this selector here. Oh, so messy. All right, so because CSS selector uses double quotes as well, and Java uses double quotes, if we, like, let's say if I remove these slashes, like a backward slashes, so Java will assume this string ends right here, right? It's like it will consider it as a closing string symbol, and it gives you the error. So here's a couple ways to do that. You can use a single quotes, which is considered as the best practice. But if you can, you can also use a backward slash. It kind of explicitly saying like, hey, this double quotes is a part of the string. It's not like ending string. All right, so what we will need to do with this login after we will find it.
Just click on this.
Yes, we will need to click it. But before click, so let's define it differently. Let's also find elements in Selenium. They have a return type. Let's say if I open it, accept. Find elements. Dun, dun, dun.
So now we have more types, like besides strings or.
Yes, this is an object. It will return an object which called web element, right? You guys remember our OP class? Yeah. So everything. All right, let's define a variable as a web element. Web element equal to driver. Oh yeah, I need to. Okay, let's login button. Yeah, I missed my imports. I believe it's option return. Oh wow. I think it's my stupid. Yeah. All right, let's one more time. Nope. Here we go. And this is a shortcut, guys, for Mac users. You can use the option and return. It will automatically import this web element to your file. You see? All right, so now we declared this variable, which is a login button. So I have a typo here. And let me change my keyboard. Login button. All right, so what we can do here, we can click to it, right? We can call it here and call it click. Click is a method within the web element object. Here we go. After we will click here, we will need to interact with this login form, right? With this email field. So let's inspect it. And so this is an element. And it has a placeholder, it has a name, it has ID, it has required type. So perfect. It's what do you guys think would be the best?
ID.
Yes. And because we are using a CSS, and as you guys remember, in CSS, there is a special keyword for IDs. It's a £, and it's ID. Okay, so Chrome tool, it's probably doesn't, for some reason, doesn't recognize, but we can assume because it's ID and the requirement for a page only have one ID for a page, it should be unique.
Is it always only one ID per page?
Yeah, it's like requirements for a web It's like a web standards.
So that means on the page, it can be only one element with ID.
No, with this element type. Like it's, you see, it's ID equal to email. There shouldn't be any other email identifications. Yeah.
So if it has ID, so we're really safe to use it.
If your application has several IDs, it's a bug. You will need to report it.
Okay.
Yeah. The same for password, right? It has a password ID here. All right, let's go back to our IntelliJ ID and let's actually copy that and let's define the all right. So this is not login, right? This is a email field. And after we found it, what we will need to do?
Enter.
But before that, yes.
Slim.
But I think it's automatically loaded, no?
I mean, yeah. But just to be safe, you know, sometimes, I mean, UI tests itself, they kind of flaky, right? There's maybe like some delay or it should not be present there. And if you want to make your test more robust, I would suggest just to click just in case. All right, so we are clicking to the element and what else?
Why we're not stating that ID equals to email?
We should, yeah. It's because it's not ID, it's email. Because we already have a sign for email. As far as ID, sorry.
Okay.
Yep. So what else? After clicking?
Send keys.
Send keys, yeah.
Clear. Do we need clear?
So clear, yeah, we can add clear just to be like safe, but we kind of like assume that it's always clear.
What is the best practice of that?
But if you go from sign-in page, it should be clear.
Yeah, I don't like, to be honest, I think clear use kind of best practice, but I don't use it with in my framework. So I believe like, yeah, so I feel like it's safe to assume that it will be always clear.
Yeah, it's not about
So what would be the entry point, guys? What would be what we are entering here? So my email. So I already have pre-existing email, which I'm gonna put here, test pro. So try to use this QA annotation. By using that, you can still use your email. I mean, this is my original email, right? This is original email, but I can, after the plus sign, I can add anything. Let's say if I want to use multiple registration, right? And all these emails, it will be like redirected to my inbox. Make sense?
Yes.
And here, after the plus, specifies the QA. It will say the developer, this is a testing account.
So this is how all emails work? This is email standards or?
Gmail worked for sure,
Yes,
but I
yes.
think other ones should work as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can test it. Like if you have Yahoo email, you can test as well. But I'm pretty sure it will work.
Sorry, but some websites do not allow to do this. Yeah?
Well, I don't know, maybe. There is some websites which, I mean, there's some of the websites which has a special check if it's a real email or not.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would be more.
Shouldn't be a problem with this.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem with this one. All right, so after I input email, I will need to do the same for a password, right?
Yes.
I believe, yeah, it's a password ID. So just copy paste everything. password field, click, send case. I'm gonna expose my password. Yeah, so this they have a requirement.
You need to change the ID.
Yes, thank you.
Senior student.
Yep, senior student. All right, and what else, guys? So obviously we will need to click to the login button, right?
Green button.
So, all right, so we don't have a ID itself, right? But we have that data test ID, which it's just a different attribute. So probably they kind of create, like, maybe they, for some reason, they cannot create ID for this button. Maybe it's dynamic, and they kind of like adding this custom attribute and naming it data test ID. Probably they may, let's say in my company, when we are requesting to add IDs, they're not adding IDs, they're calling it like test IDs or like something, but this is a different attribute, right? And I cannot use this special keyword, the pound. I will need to explicitly identify this as a data test ID. But I still safe to assume this is only one element. Let me actually check it. Put it to the square brackets. And yeah, you see it's only one element. All right, so all we need to do just to click on it, right? Let's put it here. Let's this one. Yeah, I hope it's not your car, guys. All right, because all we need to do just to perform click, you don't have to specify the variable for that, right? You can add click right after. So what will happen? Yeah, small type again. So what will happen? It will find an element. It will return the web element. It will click on it right after.
Should we define something like a login button?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't have to do that because it's only one action.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean you can do that. It's up to you.
If we not storage this value anywhere,
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly. All right, and let's say after
Probably it was not mandatory to create new variable for password and login field, right? We can just find the element and input key, send keys there.
Yeah, but you need to click on it. I don't think you can. After you click to the key, you're kind of performing an action, and I think this action returns a void. It doesn't return anything, and you cannot like in this because it's a void. It's not a web element anymore, right? It's kind of like override it. You cannot add additional action.
No.
All right, so let's see what's gonna happen if I'll do that. So for now, I'm gonna copy that and I'm gonna set the breakpoint. Do you guys remember when we set the breakpoints in our test OP class?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Yes.
So here's the thing. You can like, while developing something, you can set a breakpoints. By setting breakpoints, you kind of telling your compiler to your program, stop, implement in this point. It will go until this, and it will stop, and it will allow you to interact. So let me show how to do that. If you want to run the debug mode, you will, instead of run, you will need to click to debug. Let's test login successful tests. What did I miss? Oh yeah, I missed this small Java thing. Yeah, it's gonna take time until it will load everything. All right, so it's open as a home page. Well, so it's kind of stuck here. Let's see why. Okay, it's failed because it's saying it's unable to locate this element, right? And I already know what's wrong with that. It's because I forgot this slash, right?
Yeah, but let's do single quotes instead.
Can I use it in CSS?
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys heard about escaping? No, without anything, just single quotes. And then you need to close the brace, the square bracket.
Oh, yeah. One more time, guys. Hopefully it should build faster. Yay.
Yay.
So because we set a breakpoint after we click to the login, right? So it didn't close the browser because we didn't. I mean, we don't have a method to define it. But if we did, it will still not close it because we set a breakpoint. And now we can see what happened after I logged in, right? So first of all, I'm redirected to the home page. And the second thing is like I see my, I mean, first of all, I don't see the login sign up buttons, right? And the second thing, I see my avatar instead of these buttons. So it's kind of like best practice in test automation instead of waiting for something negative, like let's say waiting until elements disappeared. It's always better to wait until element is present, right? So what would be our expected results in this case, right? After I click to the login button from the UI perspective.
Create trip button is available, for example.
It was available also for not locked. I mean, it has a different style. Let me open the incognito mode.
User's avatar is visible.
Yes, that's the one. I mean, you see, we still have a create trip.
Ah, yeah, I see.
But, I mean, we can still check because the button has changed. Probably it has a different CSS. We can still do that too, but the
avatar is main.
Yeah, avatar, and there's like one more thing. We redirected to the home page, right? And we need to make sure we are on home page, right? All right, so we have two expected results here, right? So let's start with most fun part. Let's inspect this avatar element. Dun, 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 dun. All right. So, all right. So this element, it has image, and it has this really weird URL to this image, and it has a width, and I mean, kind of like dimensions for this kind of like image, and it also has a class UI image. And also it has a parent element, which is a desktop, drop-down menu, avatar, wrapper, and so on and so on and so on. So what do you guess would be the best locator here?
Class.
Which one?
UI image.
It's parent. That avatar.
So this image, I believe it's actually not the asset, but it's kind of baked into the page itself. So this is the code that gets really rendered
Yeah, I mean, even if it's a like real one, like I wouldn't recommend you to check for this like a storage URL because it's maybe changed. It's kind of like would be very fragile. So the thing is here, guys, like that's why let's go to the parent element, right? So this parent, it has a class desktop drop-down menu / avatar, which kind of like explicitly saying this is the avatar wrapper. But because application, have you guys heard about the React applications, React framework?
Yes.
You did? Okay, so for some of you who didn't heard about it, it's a kind of modern front-end framework that many companies using right now, but QA automation guys don't like it because it likes to auto-generate classes. I mean, just doing it a lot.
It's like this.
Yeah, you see, like after avatar wrapper, here is the UT3IQK, and we see it's auto-generated. That's most probably will be after generated again once they will do some changes. So that's why it's kind of like not safe to use it. But what we can do, what the CSS selector allows us to do, we don't have to compare the full string, right? We can find it by the portal. Contains, yeah. Contains, it's for XPath. Do you remember, Alex, for similar for the CSS?
Starts with.
Yeah, that's kind of one approach, but here, there's one easier.
There is a shorter way.
Yeah, there is a shorter way.
Who knows regular expressions? What? So this is actually very standard regular expression.
What's up? Yeah, that's the one way. That's the one way. But there's a simple one. Do you remember, Alex, our session about the selectors in the basic class in February? No, you don't. All right. So what we can do, guys, there's a star sign and equal sign. And what's up? Okay. Yes. And now let's copy the avatar wrapper.
You can even probably drop desktop drop-down menu.
I mean, yeah.
So just best practice to make it clean and concise and easy to read. Because if you put like desktop, like this whole thing, it's not like, I cannot say it's like super bad. It's not really bad, but at the same time, if you want to run it on mobile device, probably, and you can run it, probably it will fail just because it's kind of platform dependent. So because it says it's desktop, for mobile, pretty much it could be a mobile something. What was that? Drop down? Maybe not.
So star and equal, it means just contain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anywhere. Yeah.
Exactly. Anywhere. Yeah.
Exactly.
You can also use again, it's regular expression. It's called wildcard. So this star stands for like anything, anywhere, really, whatever. Then there is a like start with, and there is an end with. Yeah, $sign and caret. Caret starts with, $sign ends with. But again, basically, this star will work for starts with, ends with, like whatever, because it doesn't care. Those are more specific. And especially for this application, like React application, where it has a lot of gibberish things auto-generated for every single class, that's probably your best friend right there.
Mm-hmm. All right, and so we have access to the parent element, right? But what if like we still need to access to the child one? What we can add here?
Yeah, guys, do you know what div is?
Divider.
It's basically a container, which is kind of virtual thing, really, right? It's not really visible, but it's more just for like structuring. So the actual image would be visible, but this div probably wouldn't be visible just because it's just a parent container. So you want to stick to the actual elements. In this case, the container has a class, which is cool, but you need to kind of drill down to the actual element.
Yep. Well, how can I access to the child element now?
Double dots?
No.
Double slash?
No, it's an XPath.
No.
What's up, Alex? No. CSS, guys. No XPath.
Type deeper.
All right, it's a space.
Oh, just space?
Yeah, it's just space.
That's it?
Yeah, it's a CSS, guys. That's the beauty of CSS.
Space and what?
IMG?
IMG, it's an element
tag
name.
Okay.
The tag of the element.
Yeah, and here we
Child
go.
element.
We have an access to it. Now let's back to our code, right?
And this is actually one of the interview questions that I personally love to ask about just write me a whatever locator for whatever element. And back in the days, there was a lot of tools available, like Firebug with Firepath, and that's not the way to go.
Yeah.
It's not supported anymore with the newest versions of Firefox. I believe it's kind of built in, but it's not really exactly the same thing. But I feel like these days, it's not that complicated to figure out the locator, and
this will be faster just once we
and
get
you have to do that actually on a daily basis. This is one of the most like common techniques, really, and it shows immediately either you worked with automation or not. If you cannot locate an element, I wouldn't even spend time with you. And another bad answer was back in the days, like I just use Firepath, it gives me the locator.
I mean, it's not a bad answer. Like it's
because it usually generates very poor locators, especially when it comes to XPath. It's absolute XPath. Do you know what's absolute?
Yeah.
Some from the very beginning of the DOM tree, so it's like this big. And it's ugly and it's subject to fail like tomorrow. With any change can really break just because it has a lot of dependencies. It relies on all the like preceding elements.
Great. Here we go. And here. All right, so we add that. So, and also our second expected results will be that we will be land on the home page, right? All right, let's save it here for now. How can we check it, right? Guys, any thoughts?
By title.
Well, let's say if I'm a login, right? I have the same title.
Yeah.
Can we locate the URL too?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's what we do.
Yeah. That's what we exactly gonna do. So we got this URL, and do you guys remember what's the method for Selenium to getting current URL?
How?
Probably
So
get URL.
So guys, remember it's OOP, right? So there is an object somewhere. You have to use some object, right? That's why it's OOP. So what would be the object that you would ask for something?
URL.
No, the object.
The object.
Our URL.
I know. Driver with driver.
Driver, exactly. Driver meaning like basically browser, right? It drives the browser, so it kind of a little bit fair to say that driver is equal to browser, right? Mm-hmm. So okay, you found that object. So how would you ask to get? Are we looking for? Right.
Yeah.
So
This idea helps
it's
me.
really you should just think as a developer, because they build it thinking that you as a developer would need something that would make sense, like you can ask like, hey driver, what's the current URL, right? It could be like get URL, get current URL, get I don't know, basically something like that, right? It should be really easy to even just predict, just to think about like what I'm looking here, who is my object, and what I'm looking here.
And more than that, it also specifying the type that it's going to return. And you see it's a string, right? And actually, we can define a variable, string variable here, like actual URL, right? I mean, it's actual URL. We need to make sure if it's a
camel case.
Yes, camel case. Actual URL.
And get current URL, what is that? It's a method, right?
Yeah.
How do you know it's method?
Because after that.
No. It has, okay, it has parentheses. And it starts from the lower capital, right? All the methods start with lowercase.
But if you create your own method, it can start.
It can, but the best practice to do it like lowercase. So you see string actual URL. It starts with capital S. What does it say to you? That it's a class. Actually, everything has its own meaning. So if a string starts with a capital S, it means it's a class. Even just the best practice to follow to the same style, because that's just kind of standard, so we can understand each other without actually looking anywhere, just by how it's named.
So for classes, it's a capital.
Yes.
Methods, it's
yes. Yeah. And methods should have parentheses, but yes, in the end. But like properties or fields, they don't have the parentheses.
It's capitalized, but in a class,
instance is lowercase, right? You see, driver is lowercase, but web element or web driver, Chrome driver are all capital.
What is the difference between instance and method? It's both lowercase.
I mean, it's the same thing.
Okay. You can only call the method of an instance.
Yeah.
So method really kind of doesn't live without instance. So it's always whatever comes first is object, and then you call the action. Object is like noun, or like some entity. Method is an action. It's a verb. That's why they all like find element, get current URL. They all start with verbs. Again, this is something that you can easily identify. Is it like field? Because field should start with lowercase and method starts with lowercase. How do you know? Well, field's supposed to be a noun and method's supposed to be a verb.
Like a text field or like anything.
What was that? Car, we had like color, for example. We had like string color, but then we had get color methods. So, and that one just basically returns that field declared above. Well, we will get there later on. Probably we don't have much right now. But page object model kind of does.
No, we're not going to cover it today.
Yeah, not today. Yeah, no. Next time.
Yeah. So, okay. So now we have actual URL and expected. Expected we kind of know because it's expected. Actual we don't know yet. So we're going to know that in execution level, right? And we can use the same assertion here. Let me just copy paste it. All right. So first of all, actual, right? First of all, actual, and second of all is expected, and the message if it's fail.
Oh, and you don't have to write the second part. It actually does it automatically.
Which one?
For arg equals, like expected and actual tag is. That's the second line.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I just like shows them how dynamically pass the messages for the previous example. But actually, why not?
Because it actually prints out expected and actual automatically, because it's assert equals.
Okay. All right, and let's. So what else we forgot here? We forgot to.
No, the message itself is fine. I'm saying about like this expected tag actual is, it does it automatically.
I mean, yeah, I just want to show how it's printing, how you cannot pass anything to the message dynamically. Okay. All righty. So let's try to run it. So again, in this test, we are logging in and we are having two expected results. It's a URL and this avatar. So it's probably about to fail, and we're gonna see what will cause it. So it's failed because so it's saying, oh, interesting. It's saying the bottle disabled.
I think we have to put maybe wait time.
Yeah, probably, right?
Oh no, it's because I'm double clicking.
And in down there, it actually shows you the whole stack trace, so you can actually click on the like blue kind of link.
Mm-hmm.
It will actually bring your cursor to the line that failed.
Oh, okay.
So you don't even have to like figuring out like what's the. At least you can see where exactly it failed. Yeah, IDEs like these days they help a lot.
Mm-hmm. Dance. So it's gonna probably fail again, and it's failing because it cannot find this selector. Let's see what's wrong with that. Let's try double quotes maybe.
They worked here, right?
Actually, yeah.
Should we have this slash?
Hold on, but then you don't do anything with that, right?
Yeah.
What should we do? What is that for?
It's for quickly.
Oh no, it wasn't for. I thought it was like visible.
Oh yeah, but I don't need to. I need to just verify it's present.
Yeah. Present or visible or?
Just present, like not the.
Visible.
I mean by visible, but not specifying it's visible, just to be sure it's there. I think what's happening here is. Let's try to add implicit wait here.
Yeah, right.
That's probably the case. Do you guys remember how to set implicit wait?
How would we remember? We didn't.
Yeah, I mean, me neither. That's why we're gonna Google it. That's your best friend, Google.
Well, if it's WebDriver wait, new wait, implicit or explicit?
Implicit. I mean, we're not gonna explicitly wait for the element, right?
I don't know.
I mean, we can, but let's do implicit for now.
So do you guys know what's implicit and what's explicit?
We will get there then.
Any ideas?
Explicit is for all suite or all test, right? And implicit for
the opposite.
So certain element.
The opposite.
The opposite.
implicit is
Oh, yeah.
for like just it's like a setting
Yes.
for the whole entire browser for the rest of its life.
Yeah.
Basically, till you close it, it's gonna wait for up to like whatever you say. Explicit, it will only wait for very special element. So you have to define. In our case, we really don't need to wait for like any other element rather than this one, for example, right? Because once page has loaded, then you can basically do whatever. But that transition from one page to another, you have to wait a little bit.
Yeah. For the all elements to download and appear on the page.
Especially the problem here is this React, which is very popular actually, framework. There is a lot of jQuery and a lot of dynamic elements. So there was a page load and driver. Selenium WebDriver waits for that. But when it comes to those dynamic elements that like spinners and all that stuff, you have to actually explicitly wait for that because it's out of Selenium WebDriver knowledge. So which makes it a little bit more complicated.
In the beginning and not somewhere else?
It's basically like a settings. We just say like, hey, from now on till we close it, just like wait for up to 10 seconds. If you cannot find any element, whatever we're gonna be looking for in the future, just wait for up to 10 seconds. So this is called implicit wait.
So it's basically better to do it after initiating the driver.
If you do it in the beginning, then you don't care. Basically, it kind of like 10 seconds would pretty much guarantee you you don't have to wait for anything.
All right, guys. So we're kind of running out of time. So there was like another example that I wanted to show you. Let's say if I want to create a test where I input the wrong credentials, right? Let's say wrong password. So basically, I can copy this test, right? The only thing I will need to change after clicking to the login, right? This will be like irrelevant. But let's see what's happening. So let's say I don't know, some gibberish email. After I click here, here's a different experience, right? So first of all, we're still on the login page, and we see this error message. And we can actually also expect it. And so it has like a parent UI error message, and it has a content, and has a header, which is saying that it's cannot log in. It's actually a text within this element. And in the second of that, it has this text as well. So any quick guess, how can we, like, which locator we're going to use in this case?
What about get element by text?
So first of all, you cannot do that using CSS. Second of all, it's considered as a bad practice because
can change.
It can be changed.
You can use it by this parameter class.
Which one?
I mean, there's a class header.
Header.
So the header is cannot log in.
Yeah, but there's maybe another headers in the page, right?
But you can try it to see.
Yeah, there's just a different, better approach. Try to look up what like, is there anything else?
When you find locators, trying to stick to the point, really, like, what are you looking for?
Class UI error message.
Error message, right?
Exactly.
That sounds about right. Well, it's parent, but whatever, right? At least it gives us, by just looking, because sometimes you like doing code reviews, for example, you kind of trust that that element works usually, right? But at the same time, if you see something like off, like you're definitely seeing that the person was looking for some error message, but it says like login button in the CSS selector or whatever locator. It's kind of like, why are you looking for a login button? Shouldn't it be like error message? right?
Yeah.
So just from that standpoint, it kind of makes sense. Just for other people, because again, it's programming language. We communicate with each other using this language. So this is really our language.
Yeah. I mean, even in the manual test cases, he will say expect results, user sees the error, right? You won't say like expect result, user still sees the login button. Because here's the point to identify for users the error itself. All right, so yeah, the right answer is a UI error message. And after you find this parent, you can go deeper to the child. And after that, you can actually identify by the class name header in the child and get these two texts and just to make sure they're present and matching. Right? Makes sense, guys?
But text can be changed in the future. Should we consider to put the text in
So, okay. Yes, that's a good point. However, the text itself is really your test logic. That's not the implementation details. It's your expected result. It's test logic, right?
Yeah.
In this way, everything can be changed.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna go to this point, but consider locator as a constant, like that's not gonna change frequently. By the test logic, it's gonna maybe like the data we're verifying, it's maybe more dynamic.
I mean, of course you can just check for any error message. Just some error message is displayed, right? Which kind of, I mean, yes, it is what it is, but it's not really precise. You're actually looking, because there is more than one error message. What if the other error message is displayed? If username and password is wrong, you may see some error message saying like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever, password is not correct. I mean, any like format of the email is wrong, just like syntax or whatever error message. It's usually more than one. So here, you can actually test every single case, because this is your test case. This is your business logic, really. If like user not found, that should be set like user not found. If like
it's also better logging. Like let's say if your test fail, if you'll use this text as a locator, it will say, hey, this locator wasn't found. If you use like text within this error message locator, it will say, hey, the actual test for this locator is not cannot log in. It's like cannot register. Like it will be more clear results for you.
Yeah, it's less kind of maintenance and debugging in the future. Some of those things you can actually see like, why it's not cannot log in, it's something else. Like, at least it gives you an idea like what's wrong.
All right, guys. So it's 4 o'clock. Yeah, welcome for attending, and good luck with your pretty kind of interesting homework.
Now we finally we're making it, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Getting more interesting.
Yeah. All right, thank you, guys. We'll see you. We will see you on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thanks for that.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.